my wife's surname is Matala. And it was immediately assumed that I know Matala. I've never issued a statement. I've never written anything. I don't care what they think. I don't know the chap. But you, why would someone who says, if you are clean, go on, and then you see that as a threat? Because we get told that nonsense all the time. Malema is not there because he's not clean, he meant severe, and then I must be threatened by that.
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not.
If someone says to you, if you are clean, go on, and let's see what happens. I will never see that as a threat because I'm clean. Actually, I'm continuing so that you can take whatever you want to take against me. If I know I'm clean, I will never be blackmailed. If that is kind of a blackmail or a threat, why would you take something like that as a threat where a person says, if you were clean, go on, and you say, I'm being threatened? You're not being threatened. He's right. If you are clean, go on. And you are going on because you think you are clean. You have nothing to hide. You have never retreated from what you are doing because someone said, if he's clean, let him proceed. I don't think that is a threat.
It's not a threat in a sense, but it is in a sense. Because
now you're speaking like an ANC politician. It's not a threat in a sense, it's a threat in a sense.
Yeah, let me finish. Let me finish.
So, Minister, please clarify this threat, because as things are, it's becoming worse now. Because you gave me 3 answers. The lawyers went without me. Then I said, no, they can't do that, it's unethical. Oh, I gave them instruction, it was my wish. Okay. You now give them instruction, you still want to have access to people who are behind big fences and walls at maximum prison. No. It's not that. Actually, Matala and the wife, now the wife comes now. For the first time since we canvassed this question, Matala and the wife's lawyer wrote and said they represent them, and we must get their affidavit because we are going to Madlanga's commission. Which one do we take home here? Because it's not me. You know, Minister, the worry is you shouldn't think you are speaking to me. These matters, as you stand there addressing us, you are clarifying the country which is troubled by these things. That ministers have got access to dangerous criminals to an extent that they can even have access to them even when they are behind bars. Matala was found with a phone in a maximum prison. Matala produces a minister's affidavit from a maximum prison. According to minister's evidence, that it's not me, he wrote to me. Because of that, then we used the affidavit. What is the answer, Chair?
The answer is, I did say in the discussion, in the course of discussion over time with lawyers, I did express a need or a wish that I distance myself or be away from Matala. Remember, I issued a statement on the 9th of July. I don't want to disagree with you, but it was an instruction as received. Next thing, lawyers then, pursuing my wish, they call Matala's lawyers, and then this is the result.
So it's not what you are saying. Your wishes were never delivered to Matala by your lawyers. Never. According to that letter.
Never.
So how does Matala now know ministers got wishes to have a...
My lawyer spoke to his lawyers. That's what I'm saying.
Check. Where do you find this letter the minister is referring to?
You will find the copy. Where is this?
No, I'm saying in our attachments.
Oh, okay.
Do we have?
No.
Let's see.
No, Chair, we've just been asking for the copy of the letter. We haven't received it.
Can I please have the copy? So, how does Matala now come to send you an affidavit which you have not requested, which earlier on you said you gave them instruction, earlier on you said they acted on their own, and then so on. Now we park that, we now are here. What gives effect to this letter? What makes these people to write this letter and then send you an affidavit?
It's my lawyers talking to Matlala's lawyers.
Okay. Let me leave it, Chair. And the second point is, in terms of 3.5 of our terms of reference and 3.6, actually I must read them. Establish whether any wrongdoing, corruption or breach of conduct have occurred within SAPS or any other relevant institution as outlined in the revelation. Assess the adequacy of internal mechanism for dealing with corruption, misconduct and poor management within the SAPS and any other relevant institution. The minister has just said, IPID belongs to ministry, it falls under the Ministry of Police, but it's an independent body within the Ministry of... So if there is corruption that is being done at IPID, and amongst other things, the corruption of sealing Phala, we are well within our rights to raise it here. And the minister can answer for himself. So, Honorable Skosana is not outside the terms of reference of this ad hoc committee, and therefore there is nothing wrong with what he said about Phala. We think and we hold a view, some of us, that Phala at IPID was wrongly classified, because we find no justification why Phala is classified. Police who were investigating Phala ended up being investigated by IPID because someone reported them at IPID that these police were favoring the president, and before all of them were equal. Therefore, we want IPID to investigate the conduct of these police who are protecting the president. Whether you like it or not, Phala is the president. It's Honorable Cyril Ramaphosa. It's a synonym for Honorable Cyril Ramaphosa. So it doesn't matter how people want to put it. So we are well within our right, Chair, and that right must be protected, and society must not be misled that people who speak about Phala here, they are outside the terms of reference. And the good thing with terms of reference, the constitution or the law, is very important that every time when you speak about it, make reference to it, because you might think you know it, only to find that you don't know it. It's like Bible. A lot of you think you know Bible and you end up saying wrong things because you had those pastors who are feeding people petrol saying the same things, and you come here and repeat those things without having read the Bible. Thanks. There is no lawyer that can listen to you and out of feeling pity, without you giving them instruction, go to maximum prison to get an affidavit from a dangerous man. Then you say, no, I gave them instructions. Despite what is happening in this country about this man, despite what brings us here, because at the center of it is that Matlala takes decisions about this or that. If he's been told that PKTT is being disbanded and all of that, you still want to have something to do with such a person. Worse, on an official legal documents, which are going to go before Madlanga, before Parliament, and perhaps ultimately in court. Why would you want to associate with such a character? Worse, if you say you don't know him. Because I was, for instance, associated with Matlala.
So, Chair, we are seeking for your guidance. We're not seeking for anyone's guidance except yours as a chairperson of this meeting. We can't allow the name of the MK party to be rubbished here. If people have got a problem with the MK party, they must raise that elsewhere. It's not us who said people must lose elections. It's not the MK, it's not us who said people must get 1% in KZN and be voted only by their girlfriends, their candidates, and not receive any votes from anyone. So they must not come and express their anger here in the ad hoc committee, because we can do that as well. There is no mouth here which speaks a lot of nothing. If there's anything that does a lot of nothing, is a nose that can't even control mafinyila. Not a mouth that speaks a lot of nothing. Everything that we have spoken here as the MK party is in line with the terms of reference. It's in line with the terms of reference. Chair, if anything, we will never be bullied here. If people have been thriving through bullying, they are not going to bully us. We're not going to allow that. We're talking to you, we have no interest of talking to anyone about the guidance that we request from you and the protection that we request from you. So can we be protected, Chair? Because we will be tempted to respond.
Thank you so
For
much.
as long as they provoke us, we will respond.
Thank you so much.
Fearlessly so.
Honorable members, let me do this. Let me tell you,
No,
because
Chair.
I will give you a chance to speak. Let me
No,
say
on a point of order, I just want to make one point very clear.
point of order. On
You see, the problem is when you deal with anti-intellectuals.
No, but he is out of order. I'm
That's
also raising a
suffer
point
from
of order, Chair.
ruralitarianism.
I'm raising a point of order.
I'm
These are
ruling.
small-
On a point
these are
of order,
small boys
Chairperson,
that
on a
have
point of
engaged-
order.
have engaged their
On a point
father
of order, Chair.
long before
Chair,
they
on a
arrived
point
here.
of order. On a point of order,
When they were
Chairperson.
still looking after
On a point
cows
of order, Chairperson.
in the villages
he
of
continues to
Mzimkhulu.
say nothing. He
I was
says a
dealing
lot of
with their
nothing.
father here.
He can't even
Yeah.
control Mafinyila.
They can't do anything.
He can't
Small
even
boys.
control Mafinyila.
Control
That's
your-
the only thing.
control
that
your weight.
We're going to speak, Chair, for as long
Control
as
your weight.
we're
At
not
least
going
control
to
your
be
weight.
bullied by Malema
And
here.
ri- and buy
We're
the
not
right
going
size
to be
of
bullied
clothes.
by you. We're not your boys. We're not
Control-
your fans here,
control your
Malema.
weight and
We
buy
are
the
not
right
your
size of
fans
clothes.
here.
Okay,
You think what these boys were carrying bags for you?
Okay,
That
We are
fed
not
is-
your fans here.
fed is going
We
to
are
kill
not
you
your
in your
fans. We
sleep.
are going to confront you.
Honorable
We will
Malema.
confront you.
going to kill
We
you
will
in your
confront you. We will confront you.
Honorable
We are not
Malema,
your fans here.
Honorable Nomvalo.
We are not your fans here.
Honorable members, may
We're
you,
going to confront him.
May you please listen to me, honorable
We're going to
members.
confront him. We're not his fans.
I
We're not
request,
these boys who are carrying bags for him.
honorable members, I request.
Control your
You are not going to
Control
bully us.
you.
Control
You are
your
not
weight.
going
I
to bully
request that
us,
you
Malema.
listen-
We're not
you
going to be
listen to
bullied
me.
by you. We'll never be bullied by you.
Honorable Nomvalo, you are the last person whose microphone is still on.
All of these negative things about Matala, who is arrested to have killed people, who has implicated minister on this or that, and you still, of all people, go and ask an affidavit from Matala, who's in maximum prison. And in answering that question, actually, I just want to quote so I don't make a mistake. I think there was a bit of dishonesty there, because you saying the first answer is until I came in. You never, because you now realize on hindsight it was wrong for you to go and get an affidavit from a character like that. And you say, my legal team took their own initiative to obtain the affidavit. You said the initial, that was your original response. And when I intervened, you then say, no, it was my wish, and agreed to instructing them. So you give two answers on one question, that the lawyers acted on their own, which is unethical, and I point to that if they did that, they will be reported to LPC. There is no lawyer that can listen to you and out of feeling pity, without you giving them instruction, go to maximum prison to get an affidavit from a dangerous man. Then you say, no, I gave them instructions. Despite what is happening in this country about this man, despite what brings us here, because at the center of it is that Matala takes decisions about this or that. If he's been told that PKTT is being disbanded and all of that, you still want to have something to do with such a person, whereas on an official legal documents, which are going to go before Madlanga, before Parliament, and perhaps ultimately in court. Why would you want to associate with such a character, worse if you say you don't know him? Because I was, for instance, associated with Matala. My wife's surname is Matala. And it was immediately assumed that I know Matala. I've never issued a statement. I've never written anything. I don't care what they think. I don't know the chap. But you, because you are lawyers, it's you. You pass all these big fences of maximum prison looking for an affidavit from an ethical man who's in prison. How do you justify that, Minister?
Now, let me read this. It will add another dimension. I may have used all those words, but what is actually written down is a straight answer to you. It says, Dear Mr. July, July is my lawyer. It says, I confirm that I act on behalf of Mr. and Mrs. Matlala, my clients, who have directed that I send this email to you. I understand that you represent the police commissioner, Mr. Senzo Mkhunu, at the Madlanga Commission. Well, I'm sure I meant police minister. My instructions are to present to you an affidavit deposed by Mr. Matlala. In essence, Mr. Matlala denies any dubious dealings with minister and wishes for what he terms General Mkhwanazi's false allegations to be investigated. For that purpose, the following documents are attached to this email. Then I attach those emails. Now, this suggests that even the lawyers never went to maximum prison. There was discussion between the two lawyers after I had said we are leaving no stone unturned.
Now we're sitting here, you've got a affidavit from a morally questionable character, whereas a character that writes an affidavit from maximum prison.
I don't want to be associated with Matlala. This is what the affidavit says.
But you are now associated. You've got Matlala's affidavit. You've got Matlala's signature in your papers.
I don't want to be associated.
So why put his affidavit in your papers?
The affidavit doesn't say so. Don't want
now,
to be, yeah, I don't want to be associated with him in any way. And this is what the affidavit says.
Yeah, but who you get affidavits from is very important. You don't just get affidavit from questionable characters, especially people who are behind bars. That as a minister of police, you, even if there's nothing legally wrong, you should just know it might raise certain questions, which gave, this situation we find ourselves in. Had you not solicited anything from Matlala, whereas in maximum prison where it should be difficult to access him, we now sitting here and you've got Matlala's affidavit and we've been told that you are associated with Matlala, you are enabling Matlala to engage in illegal activities in the department and all of that. Something that you came here to clarify, but you come carry Matlala's affidavit to come and clarify us that Matlala must tell us from prison through you that you are not associated with him. I find that a bit problematic, Minister. I will leave it there, Chair.
Should have the recording. The minister does not have a recording. He told us he's got a recording and he wants us to play. That's number one. Number two, he wanted us to listen to something he never listened to himself. Because it's not there. And that's what you should be asking the minister. Not that where we are now, we don't have a recording. That recording doesn't exist. Let's agree there. That there was no such a recording where Mkhwanazi was threatening the minister. And that's why I was interested that he must bring that thing here, because we want to hear for real if minister was threatened. Minister comes, that thing is not here, and then we speak in different languages. We must put it on record that the minister doesn't have that recording, and therefore that recording doesn't exist.
You are absolutely correct, Honorable Member. And that is how we are proceeding. That is understood, Honorable Minister. We are proceeding from that premise that the evidence that you promised has not been presented before the ad hoc committee.
Again, yes, I've said so.
Thank you so much. Honorable
Minister, you seem to suggest that interministerial committees get dissolved with elections. It's not, with due respect, interministerial committee is not Minister Mkhunu, Minister Akele, Minister. It's Minister of Police, Minister of Defense. Meaning that minister will always be there even if those individuals are no longer there. Because if you are arguing it that way, that something established on the during the 6th term, when the 7th term comes in, it automatically gets dissolved. Then you have to make reference, you have to show us where, which terms of reference of interministerial committee said that when the term of political office of certain politicians comes to an end, automatically this comes to an end. Where? Because there's no law that says that. That's why these things are not constituted by individuals. They are constituted by departments which will always be there even when we are no longer there. So part of your handover is Minister of Police. Part of what I'm responsible for is the chairing of interministerial committee that is responsible for political killing stars team, amongst other things. These are the people who constitute that interministerial, because you inherit those activities. And when you guys go back and meet together as a collective that represent these departments, you then say, no, we don't think there is a need for this to go on, and therefore let's close this and give the president a report. And therefore, for one single minister to take a decision to dissolve a team that involves other departments, it can't be constitutional. No constitutional power gives you to dissolve task team members of prosecutors who are dealing with political killings. You can't. You have no power to dissolve other people who don't belong to your department. That is disrespectful to our society, which knows that there is an interministerial committee that deals with these matters, and then it gets dissolved. It doesn't even have a courtesy of saying goodbye. When it comes in, it knocks. When it leaves, it doesn't say bye. That's a root in interministerial committee. So, Minister, you are the one who ignored the interministerial committee and overlooked it and didn't care. What do you have to say about that, Minister?
My response is that interministerial committee is constituted by the president and cabinet, not by any other person as you wish, or you as you may wish. And I didn't have power to call other ministers on the basis that in the 6th administration there was interministerial committee when it is not there. It wouldn't work. It doesn't work.
Minister, is your answer that once the new administration comes in, interministerial committees are automatically dissolved?
That's how it works.
Honorable Skosana is not outside the terms of reference of this ad hoc committee, and therefore there is nothing wrong with what he said about Phala Phala. We think and we hold a view, some of us, that Phala Phala at IPIT was wrongly classified, because we find no justification why Phala Phala is classified. Police who were investigating Phala Phala ended up being investigated by IPIT because someone reported them at IPIT that these police were favoring the president, and before all of them were equal. Therefore, we want IPIT to investigate the conduct of these police who are protecting the president. Whether you like it or not, Phala Phala is the president, is Honorable Sir Ramaphosa. It's a synonym for Honorable Sir Ramaphosa. So it doesn't matter how people want to put it. So we are well within our right, Chair, and that right must be protected, and society must not be misled that people who speak about Phala Phala here, they are outside the terms of reference. And the good thing with terms of reference, the constitution or the law, is very important that every time when you speak about it, make reference to it, because you might think you know it, only to find that you don't know it.
What's up, beautiful and amazing souls? My good people, in today's video, we are going to talk about the dramatic scenes in South Africa's parliament, where the former Minister of Police, Senzo Mchunu, was being grilled by members of parliament. So if you watched the interview and the grilling, you could actually sense tension, questions of flying left, right, center. And of course, the whole thing was about the minister being accused. He's allegedly being accused of interfering with investigations. You know that if you are a minister of police, you are in charge of security. But now, when people get out of their place and go and report a certain incident, an insecurity incident, he interferes with the investigation. He is also being accused of protecting political elites, even if they do wrong in the society. And he is also accused of disbanding key political task teams that fight political killings. So recently, okay, not like recently, but there has been communication outside there that, when somebody comes and says that I want to run London for this seat, or I support this and this, they are being unalived. So today I want us to break all this story and talk about what really happened and why is he being grilled. Now that is the former Minister of Police, Senzo Mchunu, and what does this whole story say about South Africa's democracy, the policing and corruption. So let's talk about Senzo Mchunu. Who do you think Senzo Mchunu is, if we try to look at his background and everything? So this guy, I will say by now, is a former minister, because he was told to step aside and he was given a special leave or receipt a compulsory leave. So he used to oversee the South African Police Service, SAPS, until when he was placed on compulsory leave. That is when now he stepped aside. So he has not yet been fired, but he has stepped out. So he is actually somebody before all this drama and before getting into these managerial positions in the country, he was known for his calm demeanor, and then he was known to be somebody who is kind and generous. But now in 2025 July, when the president suspended him, and that was because he was allegedly accused that he had links of people that were involved in organized crimes, and instead of finishing it, he was actually supporting them. So according to South Africans and those who reported, a lot of people are like, you know what, this can't happen. He needs to resign. He needs to go out. But there was this guy that was really courageous, and that is the Commissioner of Police KwaZulu, the Commissioner of Police of KwaZulu Natal, that is now Mkwanazi. He came out boldly, he came out fearlessly, he came out bravely, confidently, and said, we are trying our best to finish crime in this particular area, but our main challenge is the Minister of Police. He is interfering with our work and is protecting the criminal elements. That did not go well with the citizens of South Africa. Honestly, it didn't go well. And due to public pressure, the president had to come out and say, just step down. You need to go on a compulsory leave until everything comes to the light. So his controversial decision to disband the political killings task team, task team was to come out with a report later on, but he disbanded it. So that, of course, it came out not really clearly, and it kind of confirmed that he is involved in the protection of these people. So anyway, there were so many issues that were raised during the grilling, and the parliamentarians really wanted answers. And of course, there was a lot of questions, and these questions, it exposed the former Minister of Police more and more. So some of the questions that were asked was, why did he have to shut down unit? Why did he have to disband the unit that was dedicated to stop political crimes? And some of the answers that the former Minister of Police gave, it didn't really make sense at all, because according to him, he was like, these task teams, they use a lot of resources from the National Police Service, and it really doesn't make sense. Like, why is he complaining of the budgeting? The best thing he could have done is take the report or table it in parliament, and then probably they would have been added some funds in the docket, because you cannot say that I disbanded it because of budget issues, less finances, and of course nobody bought that. I mean, when I say bought, I mean, how would you have agreed? I mean, it's even hard to believe that, you know, a whole okay. One another question that was asked to him is that when a task team starts to touch this powerful individual, why is it that it is suddenly shut down? I mean, the case is shut down, everything is shut down. And of course, it happens not only in South Africa, but in most countries of the world. Because, you know, when you do that, it means that you want to weaken the investigations, and at the end of the day, it goes nowhere, because, you know, you have a very big say in that particular task, you know. So during that interview, the former minister said that, you know what, guys, I have an audio recording of Commissioner Mkwananzi threatening him. And of course, he was asked, please provide an evidence. You need to provide an evidence. But unfortunately, that particular audio did not exist. Okay, Mkwananzi is the police commissioner of KwaZulu Natal, who came out bravely and said that, guys, you're complaining about insecurity, you're complaining about political killings, you're complaining about crimes, but when we try to report these issues and try to investigate, we are being compromised, you know, we are being weakened, and this former minister comes out and disbands the units that you are trying to form. So, of course, nobody bought that particular defense from him, that he has an audio of the police commissioner of Natal that he threatened him. Unless if he provides it, then well and good. So, okay, a lot of issues come out here, credibility issues, misinformation, because, you know, what this guy was trying to do was to discredit Mkwananzi with false claims, which is very wrong. You know, being in an ad hoc committee, being real, and then you come up with false information. Other things that were being discussed, it really, you know, shocked most of us. The former minister allegedly said that he has connection with business people who had interest in police contrast, you know, and if you come out, because you know that that particular sentence, or what he was trying to come out and say, is that Mkwananzi himself said that, you know, I mean, Chuno said that Mkwananzi has connections with business people who have interest in police contracts, and that is why he came out and tried to say all these allegations, so that, you know, the people don't have trust in him, the people of South Africa don't have any trust in him. And, you know, this particular conversation went on and on. It was heated indeed. So a lot of people were named there. Brown Mogotsi were probably, I don't know if you know him, but he's a business mogul in this particular, okay, he's a very big figure in South Africa. So, of course, I mean, this guy just kept denying and denying, even after the MPs, the members of parliament, demanded for documentation or evidence. So, at some particular point, Chunu admitted that, you know what, there were consequence management within the police department that was kind of weak. The system wasn't strong enough to hold everyone accountable. He accepted that. And, you know, that honestly, I don't know what he was trying to say about himself, because if you are managing that particular department, you should be in a position, give them the resources that, and also try to figure out how you are going to solve the whole issue. Of course, so many questions was asked, but unfortunately, he ignored most of them. He didn't really come out and answer them according to how he was being asked, because these questions were really hard. People wanted accountability. That is what they wanted. But if you look at the whole implication, it is really affecting South Africa, because South Africa has been battling rising organized crime, political killings, and corruption within the police itself. So if the minister comes in and interferes in the investigation, or disbands units at will, then that sends a chilling message to honest officers, because loyalty at this point, it seems loyalty matters more than justice. If there is somebody there that is good and honest in his work, they'll have some fear. If you look at governance and democracy, it will expose the fragility of checks and balances here and there. And if you talk about public trust, of course, people will no longer fear criminals. I mean, they have nothing to lose at the end of the day. So public trust is something that will be gone and gone forever. So I want us to be honest at this point. Not everything about this grilling was black and white. So Mchuni himself raised some valid points about resource constraints and national coordination, but the lack of transparency in his answers, the missing evidences and timings of these decisions, of course, raises red flags. Anyway, my good people, this case reflects a larger truth about post-apartheid governance. Institutions are only strong on paper, but still vulnerable to political interferences. And it's not only in South Africa, but in most governments in Africa, I will say about that. And what's the lesson that we learn from here? That, of course, we need to strengthen systems and not personalities. We need to allow for police independence, and also empower oversight bodies and make parliament's questioning more consequential. So, because guys, without accountability, democracy is a hollow shell, honestly speaking. And the grilling of Senzo Mchunu may fade from headlines, but its implications, its effect will linger. And it's about more than just one man. It's not, I mean, it's not about just one man. It's about whether South Africa's democracy can still correct itself. So I don't know, will the ad hoc committee's findings lead to reform, or will this be another story that ends with no consequences? A country like China, if a minister is found to have engaged in interferences, corruption, they're taken straight to jail. They don't entertain corruption, because if there is something that is really bringing down our governments here in Africa, it's corruption. And when a powerful person commits corruption and that there is no consequences, then it means that we will forever go backwards and not forward. So when those in power are forced to answer tough questions, democracy will breathe in again. And the grilling of Senzo Mchunu wasn't just a political theater, it was a test of truth. And whether we pass the test depends on how South Africa acts next. Anyway, thank you so much. If you watched this particular video up to this point, I appreciate your presence. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.